Welcome back. You're watching The Buck Stops Here. Time now for our big focus tonight. There is a war over the new adoption rules, and this time it's the Missionaries of Charity who are in fact opting out entirely of the adoption process. This after new rules framed by Maneka Gandhi's Women and Child Development Ministry. Rules that actually seek to bring every adoption agency across India under these guidelines, and Maneka Gandhi says seeks to streamline these rules. But what is the dispute between the two sides? Well, the Missionaries of Charity the sisters there, this is of course Mother Teresa's legacy, do not seem to be comfortable with the idea of either divorced or single people being able to adopt. They're also not comfortable with the new guideline that says that if you're a parent looking to adopt, you will be now able to choose between 6 different babies that the adoption agency places before you. Maneka Gandhi has also queered the political pitch by suggesting that the nuns are averse to accepting a uniform secular framework for adoption laws. Let's introduce our panel as we look at Maneka Gandhi versus the missionaries. Derek O'Brien, the Trinamool Congress Parliamentary Party leader, is joining us tonight from Kolkata. The TMC is backing the missionaries, and we'll ask him why. Flavia Atnes, a well-known lawyer, is also joining us from Mumbai tonight. Mir Sharma is with me in the studio. He's the associate editor with Business Standard. And also with me is Amrita Nandi. She's a researcher and columnist. She spent her entire research focusing on issues of adoption. And also joining me today from Kolkata is Rita Bose, a single mother who adopted a child 24 years ago. Let me start by asking you, Derek, why are you backing the sisters in this case? We all have admired and appreciated the work of Mother Teresa, but there have to be some issues on which you say, on this one, we simply do not agree. How can it be defensible for the Missionaries of Charity to say that single women or single men or divorced people do not have the right to adopt a child?
I think, Barka, that is not the big issue. It's not about who is backing them and who is not backing them. Even though there are people in Delhi who are trying to put a political spin, please, let's keep the politics out of this. Let's stick with the facts. The guidelines came from the ministry. The Missionaries of Charity took a look at the guidelines. This is an organization which was set up by Mother Teresa and follows her ethos and principles. The key issues which they had, and I'm not their spokesperson, my understanding from their statement is that they do not believe that when a child is given for adoption, that there should be a choice of 5 or 6. That's their belief. They may have also other issues.
Yeah.
They have opted out. That is all they have done. All they have asked for is, they looked at the guidelines, they had their own principles of Mother Teresa, no fight here. 2 months ago, they opted out. After they have opted out of their own free will, they're not getting into any confrontation. They're not saying single parents can't make a good mother or a father. They're not saying anything like that. They're saying their preference is, one, there should be no choice, because a biological father or mother doesn't have a choice. You get a girl, a boy, differently able, there's no choice. And the second is their own belief. They don't believe that a single mother or a single father cannot be a good father or a mother. No. They believe that the husband and the wife together have a better chance. That's all they're saying. And they've made institution has taken a decision. Why after that does the ministry accept their decision gracefully and just let them go?
But Derek,
where is the fight?
Derek, the fact
they are not
is,
looking for a
fight.
fight.
Fact is that you have a sister Amla of the Missionaries of Charity who says, what if the single parent turns out to be gay or lesbian? What moral upbringing will these children get?
Yes. Well said.
You know, the new rules may be for secular people, they're not for us. We do not wish to give our kids to single parents or divorced people. I mean, how can these comments be defended?
Barka,
you know, you can appreciate Mother Teresa and the Missionaries of Charity without endorsing these comments.
Barka, I completely do not endorse the comments of Sister Amla who is from Delhi. And let me say this with all the authority at my command, because I've been talking to the Missionary Charities not for 1 week, but for the last 30 years. The Missionaries of Charity do not stand by those comments made by Sister Amla. Sister Prema has issued a statement, and that's the view. She is the worldwide head in 139 countries, and everyone else in the Missionaries of Charity who are giving their views from Delhi or Guwahati, they ought to zip up and not talk to the media.
So your
Sister
problem,
Prema,
so
the
your
head of
problem,
Missionaries of
Derek,
Charity,
your problem, Derek, is with Maneka Gandhi's statement where she said the Missionaries of Charity do not want to come under a uniform secular agenda. But isn't this true? Isn't her comment true?
Please understand, they are not getting in, they are willfully, voluntarily giving up their adoption. What more do you want them to do? And this is not a tactic, they are not a political party who after 2 months will change. It's their decision, we need to respect their decision, they are not looking for a fight. Now what else do you want them to do?
Mihir Sharma, what else do you want them to
do? And the comments made by Sister Amla, the comments made by Sister Amla and Sister Della are not the views of the Missionaries of Charity. Sister Prema has gone on record and said this. They should not have said what they said. Bad what they said.
Mihir.
I think that to the extent, I think a lot of us were disturbed when we read those comments. But it is, look, whatever else, Derek is right. The Missionaries of Charity have behaved with a certain degree of grace. They have, you know, they've withdrawn well in advance of it becoming a controversy. They haven't made a big deal out of it.
But could the answer to Derek's question, what else would you have them do, be to adapt with the times?
Well, the truth is that they don't really have much of a choice. Catholic adoption laws are set by the Roman Catholic Church. And this is in various liberal democratic countries across the world, they've run into trouble with local secular jurisdictions. In the US right now, we can see an ongoing fight between people who are Catholic, and you know, there's this woman named Kim Davis who's a major figure right now, because she's a Catholic but also a city clerk who has to conduct marriages, and she's refusing to marry
and she had a secret meeting with Pope Francis.
Exactly.
But you also have the Pope now being willing to look at the issue of gay rights completely differently. So isn't the Missionaries of Charity even behind Pope Francis?
I think the best case scenario for those of us who believe in secular laws is that Pope Francis is to a certain extent a reformer by the standards of the Catholic Church, and he is trying to push the Church towards a greater understanding.
So what disappoints you about the Missionaries of Charity response in this?
Well, I think that what is most disappointing is that I wish they would have come out and made it very explicit at the highest level, Sister Prema herself, that we are bound by the laws of the Vatican, and we would like to continue our work. However, the reason that we cannot do it is because this is church doctrine. They have a role to play within the larger story of the Roman Catholic Church, and that is part of what I would have liked to have seen.
But very quickly, Derek, before I go to the others, this entire controversy is coming at a time when the Supreme Court is asking the government what's happening to the Uniform Civil Code. So, you know, if you locate this within that larger debate, when Maneka Gandhi talks about a uniform secular agenda, why is she off the mark?
You see, Barkash, I'll tell you why. I don't think this very sensitive issue of adoption should have any kind of political tinge, and that's why we were disappointed that those comments were made. Let me also tell you with my understanding that CARA are now trying to reach out to the Missionaries of Charity.
Yeah.
And now try and find a solution.
Yes.
But Missionaries of Charity have discussed this internally, and it's a closed chapter.
Okay.
The issue here is what has been coming out from the media in Delhi.
Yeah.
What has been coming out from the media in Delhi, that is the saddening part. You know, I believe I have so many friends of mine who are single, and they've adopted children, and I think they're doing a very, very good job. So does Sister Prema and Missionaries of Charity also think that. There may be gay and lesbian men who are also doing a good job in adopting children.
No, one of the reasons they're shutting down is because they don't believe what you believe.
Please understand, Barkha.
Yes.
Barkha. No. 350 adoptions. This year, the number of missionaries, what number are we talking about? 350 adoptions. They're thinking, and I agree with their thinking, they are saying if we have 350 children to adopt, we will rather give them to husband and wife to be father and mother. Or they only have 350 children. In 20 million children who need adoption in our country.
Okay, let me put this to Amrita, Nandi and Flavia, and then I want to hear from the single mom on this show. Amrita,
and to Mihir's issue, one sec, Barkha, one quick response to Mihir. the work which the Missionaries of Charity do, even though they are a Roman Catholic organization, they do it free of charge, irrespective of caste, creed or religion.
True, but one can still have
the unwed
ideological
mothers, the
questions about some of
malnutrition
their
children
positions.
who are lying.
I agree, but I'm just saying one can still have some.
But give them the respect.
Okay.
What do you want them to do? Pull out, that's it.
Amrita, you wrote an open letter to the
Barkha.
You wrote an open letter to the sisters saying you were disappointed because you appreciated and admired their work, but the sort of reductionist narrative about single people, the essentialism that they had got into the conversation about marriage was what really disturbed you. Do you agree with Derek that the controversy or the debate should end now that they've pulled out, or do you believe that it is extremely disappointing and there is the question of I don't know what Maneka Gandhi calls a uniform secular agenda?
Well, I would at the outset say, like Derek said, that one immensely respects the work of the sisters and the mother herself. Selfless work really cannot be matched easily.
Okay.
But we've just heard from Derek that what Sister Amla and Prema said is not really the response of the organization, is not their stance. This is the first time I've heard it. In the last few days, the media has been full of stories.
Sister Prema's is.
Anyway, you're saying that
Sister Prema's is the statement.
Yeah,
Amrita, the point, I think what she's saying is that what she read in the press disappointed her, but the larger issue for you, Amrita.
What we've read in the, right. So Barkha, what we've read in the press has been different all these days, which is exactly what you had said, that they would not allow single parents to adopt, and that they have, they suspect if these single parents turn out to be gay or lesbian or queer, they also worry if there are divorced people in there who come in the guise of single people, etc. So one's response was really to that. I'm pleased to know from Derek that that's not the case.
But do you agree with their decision to opt out? Do you agree with their decision to opt out?
Well, you see, they're entitled to their decision, but the implication of this decision is what has disappointed a lot of us, which means that it's discrimination. Under the law of the land, everybody should be free to adopt.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental right. But by putting their foot down, they're gatekeeping. They're gatekeeping a certain kind of proper good family. They're telling us who good parents are. They're telling us what good parenting is, and that is problematic. Now, well, we can still debate about who's right, who's wrong, which sister really spoke about the right stance. We won't know till, I think like you said, we get a very clear answer, an explicit answer from perhaps a spokesperson. But till the time that happens, it worries that there is this sort of gatekeeping.
I think that's a fair point. I think that's a fair point. I want to get Mihir into this, because you said if they just got up and said we're bound by our faith, you would have felt more comfortable. But the point is that even to hear that today would feel anachronistic, and I think that's the point that Amrita is making.
Well, we have to recognize that church-based adoption is anachronistic. Church-based charity is anachronistic. These there was a time in much of the world when religions were the only source of charity, and the reason that you feel that it would be anachronistic is because it is. They are, like all religious people do, live according to precepts that were set down maybe hundreds of years ago. And modern secular democracies, which set down the kind of guidelines that Maneka Gandhi is putting out, may not share those precepts because, we tend to update our opinions over time.
So you're saying the conflict is inevitable?
The conflict is inevitable.
Flavia, what's at stake here? Once again, Derek, Flavia, what's at stake here? What's at stake here? Is this about an adoption debate, or is this really about a uniform civil code debate in some ways? Of course, not literally, but it takes you back to that clash between faith-driven beliefs and a kind of uniform secular belief.
I think we are missing the main issue over here, that when you say adoption, what we are looking is providing a home for the child.
Yeah.
Here the interest of the child, the best interest of the child must serve. Now the question here is, who is serving that interest, and why this debate has come up is not come up in the context of the Missionaries of Charity. It's come in the way the adoption rackets have been going on in the country, and there are several homes for unwed mothers who actually sell their babies, mainly abroad, and there's not enough checks and balances.
Okay.
So it is in this context that 2011 CARA guidelines have come. Now, such allegations have not been made against the Missionaries of Charity over the years, that they are commercializing this issue, putting the children for the best bidder, etc. That is not the case. And what they said, they have certain value systems and they function within those value systems.
So you're saying, are you saying, ma'am,
how do we determine what is best?
Yeah, but are you therefore suggesting that the rules should never have been imposed on them? That there should not be one rule for all adoption agencies in the country? I am not saying that at all. I am not saying that at all. But the issue and the context was not them. When these guidelines were brought about, Missionaries of Charity were not the context. The context was the irregularities and commercialization in adoption that was going on. And this was coming to check that. Okay. Now the question is, what is best interest for the child? Now what is best interest of the child? And missionaries may think that, you know, a single parent, divorced person, whatever, may not be in the best interest of the child. Now, but what the guidelines also say, you show 6 children and you choose one, you know, the best dress or the best complex or best features or best sex, you choose that. Now, how that is gender friendly, how that is race friendly, how that is caste friendly, I cannot understand. And if they are allowed to bring that element into the guidelines, that does seem one problematic aspect. They are put in the best interest of the child at all. I agree. I agree with that point that you raised. It certainly needs more discussion. But, you know, Rita, we've all been talking on your behalf. You were actually a single mom. You adopted your son 24 years ago. And I want to just hear from him. You know, he actually gave this very, very moving statement, Rita, before we come to you, in Bangalore today. And maybe this could change the mind, I don't know, of the nuns of the Missionaries of Charity. Let's just listen to what Rita's son had to say.
There have been questions raised by the Missionaries of Charity as to whether single parents should be allowed to adopt. They would prefer married couples only. Your response to this?
I think it's completely wrong. I wouldn't say wrong, it might be a too hard a term, but I think it's not right. Because I have been adopted by a single mother and I have grown up fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with me. So why should there be anything against having a single mother? I feel like one person can give 100% love rather than 2 people divided 50-50. So I have really been lucky, I would say really, really lucky to have a single mother like my mom right now. And whatever I am today is because of her. So I really think that it's not fair for a single person who really wants to be a parent rather than 2 people actually want to be parents also.
All right, Rita, that's your son saying, why do you need 50-50 you know, percent love divided when you can have 100%? How do you, as a mother, as a single mom, see this entire controversy sitting there in Kolkata?
Say that again. I couldn't get you.
How do you see this entire controversy? How do you respond to the position that the Missionaries of Charity have taken?
I'm very disappointed. I'm very, very disappointed because mother has done so much for the children, and so many children will be deprived of a good home.
Yeah.
And I wonder if mother was there, whether she would have approved of this.
Yes. That's
because she started, because she was one of the pioneers.
What disappoints you the most?
Adoption.
Rita, what disappoints you the most? You've heard Derek saying they've opted out, you know, it collides with their faith. What else could they have done? So let me ask you that. What would you have preferred them to do?
Pardon?
What would you have preferred them to do? What would you have, what would you have wanted them to do? To accept the new guidelines? Is that what you're saying?
Accept Mother Teresa's, what they have taken?
No, I'm saying, do you think that they should have...
I just couldn't understand.
I think maybe you can't hear me, so let me try this again. Do you believe that they should accept the new guidelines frame? You said you're disappointed. What disappoints you? What would you want them to do?
No, I'm disappointed that they have stopped adoption. That they are not going to, completely. that so many children will be deprived of a good home.
Yeah, let me take that to Derek.
And particularly single parent.
Yes, Derek.
I want to sound.
Firstly, Barkha, let me tell you, more power to Rita Bose and all the single parents. I'm seeing Rita Bose's son. I think I saw him 15 years ago. Today you tell me he's 24, and I know how Rita Bose has been mother, father and everything else to this boy. The point which Rita is making is, I have no problem with that. But Mother Teresa's last 65 years, now they're putting up 350 children for adoption. 350, the entire country.
Yeah, but why should even those 350 suffer?
Their thinking is, just one second, just 1 second, Barkha. What do you want them to do? Why don't you give me a suggestion?
To change with
the time.
What are they saying? Why not change? All faiths need to change with time.
One second, Barkha.
Faith-driven decisions need to change with time.
Since Rita brought up a very important part, Rita Bose brought up a very important point. She said, what did Mother Teresa do? What would Mother Teresa have done?
Yes.
Here is an organization guided by the principles and ethos of its founder. Now they've been confronted with guidelines.
Yeah.
The key issue for Missionaries of Charity is not single parent, because there are only 350 kids. It's not the key issue.
Okay.
The key issue is that this is the key issue. The baby is not put up at a shopping mall. It is not a commodity. It's not an online commodity. One child, this has been the rule for the last 50 years. They give you one child,
but Amrita,
you accept the child.
But Derek, I want to get Amrita in briefly, and then the last word to Mihir. No, I'll tell you why I'm interrupting. But as far as I know, even before these guidelines, you could walk into an agency, Amrita, and choose. This choice thing may not have existed in Missionaries of Charity, but it did exist in other agencies. Amrita, isn't that correct?
That is it.
Amrita, isn't that correct?
Barkha.
Yeah, so what has changed with these guidelines other than the number 6?
I'll interrupt.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Can I interrupt?
Yes, please, quickly. I'm out of time.
Can I interrupt?
Yes,
the thing is, what I don't like is about putting up 6 pictures and you have to choose from them.
Okay.
It's like actually
going
to a shopping mall and picking up.
Barkha?
Yeah, Flavia, quickly, last comment, then Mihir gets the last word. I have to end. Yeah,
I just want to come in here.
Yeah.
There is a wrong presumption here that married couples provide safe home. Today, there is increasing rate of divorce, and married couples are warring over child custody, including the custody of the adopted child.
Exactly, but that is my point.
And the courts are tearing their hair how to resolve this issue. And I want to say here, it is not a question of married people or single people. It is a question of who can provide a stable environment for the child. And I think this issue is critical because the child is going to grow up in the home. A single parent may provide a better home. A married person may not be able to provide a better home.
Yes, we agree, but this is not something the Missionaries of Charity is accepting, Flavia. This is not something the sisters are willing to accept, what you're saying. Yeah, Derek, quick. Yeah, 30 seconds to you.
I think this is where the issue is.
Yes, Barkha.
And this is where I think we need to have.
There are 350. There are 350
the
children.
Missionaries and the Roman Catholic
the Missionaries of Charity put up for adoption last year.
1 minute, you're all speaking together. Derek, last comment, please.
Last comment, yes. Firstly, this choice is a no-brainer. No, there's no choice.
Okay.
And second is there are 350. This is an institution. One of their unwritten rules was that since they have 350 children, they would rather give it to couples, even though single parents can make very good single parents. Allow that institution to take its call. This is the university in diversity. What are we fighting about? Let them do their stuff. Let the guidelines continue with the other adoption agencies.
Okay, Mihir, very quickly, the unity in diversity that Mamata Banerjee has cited to support the Missionaries of Charity's position is exactly at the heart of uniform civil code versus personal laws. To that extent, this is an illustration of that conflict.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's very interesting that the Uniform Civil Code is being talked about at the same time by the Supreme Court, and we're running into one of the, you know, one of the sort of conceptual applications of it. I think that we're going to have a lot more of these discussions in the decade to come, and the truthful answer is that all religious institutions will have to update their beliefs in and expectations of what the, you know.
And would you have hoped that the Missionaries of Charity would have done that, or you think they had no choice?
I don't think the Missionaries of I think that the truth is that if Mother Teresa had been around, she would have been the first person to follow what the Vatican's rules on the subject are. All right, she was a loyal, you know, member of the Roman Catholic Church. She would have done exactly that. And the truth is that the solution to this for several people doesn't lie in it's in the religious.
Well, I think that's almost the beginning of a whole new debate. Unfortunately, we have to leave it here.
Barkha, when the dying are picked up.
Yeah.
Barkha, when the dying are picked up, no one sees whether they're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, or Sikh. They're picked up from the platforms.
I agree, but I wish that when somebody comes to adopt, you wouldn't see if they're gay or lesbian or single or married or divorced. So it kind of works both ways. But I do agree with all of you that this issue of 6 babies up for choice is something that really does need a little more debate. But for now, we leave it there. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the Buck Stops here.